Shalom, family. Good to see you all here. Hope you're doing well. Well, we're going to talk about what Mamdani recently said in his concession speech after winning the race for mayor in New York. And he just sounds like a typical immigrant taking credit for things that our people did, or when history is spoken by these same people, they try to erase us out of it altogether. So it's almost like immigrants have been here the whole time doing all the work, and our forefathers who did the real work, they don't exist. And let me tell you something, y'all. I don't think there's not one immigrant group that don't try to pull this. They all do it. They all try to take credit for what our forefathers and foremothers did and all the sacrifice that they made to build this place up the way that it looks. And no matter how much you keep saying immigrants did it all, y'all came after the fact. Many of you weren't even in this country during the time of chattel slavery. So I don't know how you come ages later and then claim you did this and did that. I just don't get it. But y'all all do it. You all do it. If we ain't shit and we ain't about nothing, then why are you always trying to steal parts of our legacy? Okay? How come y'all never try to steal from what white people do? Y'all know who built this place. Mamdani, he knows who built this damn place too. But I feel sorry for my New Yorkers because he gonna have that place over. It's already immigrant hell in New York. He's gonna make it worse. I actually think Mamdani is gonna be worse than Eric Adams when it comes down to immigration, because his entire concession speech was about immigrants. The whole thing. So he is opening the floodgates for immigrants to come to New York. So y'all about to be inundated all over again. All over again. And you just went through all that hell with those Venezuelans. Now it's no telling who's coming, and he's going to allow it to happen. So y'all, my New Yorkers, I just hope it's not bad for you. I really do. But it looked like it will be. It's about to be pure hell up there. And when those immigrants get out of pocket, you got somebody in office that's so supportive of them, he probably ain't going to do too much of nothing. I mean, under Eric Adams, they were shoplifting in stores, getting caught stealing, get jailed for about a few hours or a day, and then released. It's going to be all of that all over again. And weren't they pooping on people's stoops, going to people's houses and pooping on steps and leaving PP cups and everything on people's steps? That mess is disgusting. But that's what they were doing, because I did videos about it. So y'all, let's get started so you can hear the responses to Mamdani's speech. Okay, give me a 1 if you can see my screen. Yeah, unfortunately, everybody wants to steal our legacy. Everybody wants to steal it. But we're supposed to believe these immigrants work so hard, though. Yeah, you work hard at stealing and scamming. You definitely do that. All right, let's go.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant. So hear me, President Trump, when I say this. To get to any of us, you will have to get through all of us. African Americans built this nation. You built this nation. You know, you're just starting to get real credit for that.
There's a clip going around of Donald Trump talking about how great American innovation is. And everything that he named that America invented, it was a Black person that invented it.
This is a nation that invented the light bulb, the telegraph, the television, the telephone, the computer chip, the smartphone, the GPS, the integrated circuit, and even the internet. Basically, we invented everything.
GPS is a Black woman. 3D imaging is a Black woman. Laser eye surgery is a Black woman. Escalator is a Black inventor. Elevator is a Black inventor. The roller coaster is Granville T. Woods. Roller coaster, everything.
The cell phone.
The cell phone. I was just watching the thing on the cell phone. Our video games is Jerry Lawson in Silicon Valley. They try not to mention him, but he's the reason why we have Xbox.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants.
So you know that the first successful Indie Summit was in 1619 Virginia, right? You have the first successful Black Center was in 1613 in New York. Manhattan, right? Grandmother was all one of bees. He was with the Dutch expeditions and he was a trader. He married for nothing, and he settled there. And after the Dutch and French wars, the Dutch will take the captives and they're enslaved in the disorders into Manhattan. So it's going to be called Raid of the Blacks. After that, you'll have some Bermudas to go flee, and they're like they were high on some. And that's what it was used as a buffer around a lot of idiots. But of course, that ultimately to the Dutch occupancy, it did not do see part of the foundation of the city. After that, the English would come, and then the defeat the Dutch people that are stayed. Let's continue with New York. All right, so New York, English get there, and it'll do more. We use as digital have slaves. Some of them be ship slaves. Ship the things that will be used as everything. I do have a few videos from Ghana.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants, and as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
That eliminates the story of those formerly enslaved people and products of that enslavement, like myself. There's been a concerted effort to eliminate Black Americans from the conversation of their impact and importance in the way that this country was built and developed, but with free labor from my ancestors. I'm really glad that Zohran Mamdani is the mayor of New York City. I did my part to campaign for him and boost his messaging, and the fact that I thought he would make a good mayor on this page and very loudly on social media. But that doesn't abscond him from critique. Black Americans versus immigrants, and how these two aren't the same, and how it is imperative that we understand the difference when talking about the development of this nation and what that means for history and what that means for our present and our future. New York was not a city built solely by immigrants. New York was a city founded by European settlers and developed initially by the work of enslaved Black people. In the early days of New York City, Black people cleared the land, built roads, built the initial buildings, built Wall Street, built the first city hall. They built the first city ports. And Black people were vital to the success of the early days of New York City, working in various arenas such as artisans, domestic servants. Black people are pivotal to the development of this nation, full stop. And without Black Americans, no immigrant would be allowed to come here, especially no immigrant who is Black, brown, or any of the above. So when you have immigrants who are able to come to America, and they came in waves in New York. So New York was developed by immigrants as well and immigration as well, but those waves were allowed by the development and work of Black Americans. So you have a group of people who built the country, were enslaved in this country for centuries before any immigrants came. And those immigrants are allowed to do things and being propped up over in spite of Black Americans. So when you have immigrants that come here and they're able to succeed, they're not coming with the weight or baggage of being the product of slavery here. They then turn around and look down on Black Americans or say, why can't you do what we did? Or Black Americans are lazy, but you do not understand what it means to be Black American in America. And Zohran, I've seen your team. I don't think I've seen any Black people on your team. And I hope you get someone who's Black from New York and hopefully a Black woman to make sure you are touching every part of the city. And that includes Black Americans who are foundational to that city, not just all the immigrant populations. Even though we all live amongst each other and New York is New York because of the diversity, there needs to be an effort to ensure that we are not eliminating Black Americans from the conversation, because without Black Americans, there would not be an America and there would definitely not be a New York City. Congratulations once again on winning the race. I think you're going to be a phenomenal mayor. I just think this is something you need to think about, and it's something that needed to be addressed and something that's brought to your attention.
So I just got called xenophobic for saying that immigrants did not build New York City. Immigrants did not build the United States of America. I don't care which way you want to turn the key. I don't care if you came here with 50 cents. I don't care if you swam over here, if you caught a boat, a plane, a train. I don't care how you got here. If you came here once the United States of America was established as a country and you have immigrant status or an immigrant background, you did not, you nor your ancestors nor your forefathers built this country. It is a slap in the face for all of the free labor, for all of the paid labor, the pennies paid, the blood, sweat, and tears that our ancestors poured into this country. There's some Caucasian Americans who also their ancestors helped to build this country. But a lot of you all that come over here, the Mamdani, the Zohrans, the new mayor of New York City, he's talking about New York was built by immigrants and it's going to remain an immigrant city. No, the fuck, it was not built by immigrants. That's so disrespectful. Now, did they add to what was already built? Yes. To be an immigrant literally means that you migrated to a country from your country. Why would they all want to come over here if they wasn't coming to anything that was already built? If that was the case, why they didn't just stay where the fuck they was at and build up their homelands? They came here for the American dream. They came here for a better life. They came here for resources. They came here to take. They didn't come to assimilate necessarily because they're still flying their flags and they want to create their own little subset countries within our cities. They want to bring their culture and change people's backgrounds, their beliefs, and a lot of things that's going on. They want to make it more like where they come from instead of becoming actual Americans. And I also think that's a slap in the face. Now, I remember I heard somebody say, oh, when did Black Americans become American? Do you know how idiotic that sounds? I done said multiple times that y'all are forcing us to be patriotic out this bitch. Y'all are forcing it. Yes, we have a lot of gripe with this country. Yes, we have a lot of issues. A lot of horrific things has happened to us here, but we've also triumphed. We've been resilient. We've created things. We are embedded in the very fabric of this country. We are written into the Constitution. A lot of the things that my ancestors and my lineage that they fought for and that they worked for is why a lot of immigrants are able to come over here and benefit to this day. Now, I don't like to get into things I get deep, but I try to not go all the way there because I get tired of arguing with you motherfuckers. I be so tired of arguing with y'all. But the Arab community, a lot of them are very racist. The Muslim, I'm trying not to, the misogyny, the way women are treated. The Arab slave trade was the most horrific shit on planet Earth, and it's still happening to this day. Y'all better wake the fuck up. Just because somebody is singing New York by Jay-Z and eating fucking chicken wings with you, that does not mean that they have your best interest at heart. When are we going to stop falling from the fucking blood clot minstrel show? It gets to a point. It gets to a motherfucking point. A lot of those people, not all, they don't fuck with the LGBTQ. A lot of the shit that you on, y'all are voting for people that are completely opposite of what your core values and beliefs are. And you just don't even fucking know it. Because you play too much into the smoke and mirrors. In New York City, where I'm from, we had the Harlem fucking Renaissance. That was happening simultaneously with the Great Depression. Do you know how fucking magical that is? That a Renaissance was happening? Black Americans was creating the most beautiful pieces of art, curating the most beautiful fucking art pieces that is known to the modern world. And the rest of the world, outside of that hub, outside of that bubble, was going through a fucking Great Depression. That's how great we are. Central Park was built over a village that was filled with beautiful Black people called Seneca Village. Wall Street, we built that shit. The fucking bridges, the Brooklyn Bridge, we built all of this shit. Did other people come and help and add? Yes. But did they build it? No. The foundation was already here. So it is a disrespect and a slap in the face to fucking say, it's like y'all just trying to erase Black American people. And I'm not going for that ethnic erasure. We're not going. So if I'm xenophobic for that, then so be it. I had somebody say, oh, I'm unfollowing you because you've been xenophobic. Bitch, I'm xenophobic for saying that immigrants didn't fucking build New York. Did I lie? I didn't lie. Did they add to? Yes. But you didn't build it. Y'all do that shit with every fucking thing we've accomplished. Y'all do that shit with fucking hip hop. Y'all do that shit with our hairstyles, with our style, with our vernacular. Our everything. It gets to a fucking point. Spread love is the Brooklyn way.
The new mayor of New York gets up and tells the world that immigrants built New York. I got nothing against immigrants at all, but I do have something against people who erase historical facts. Just to be clear, enslaved Black people built New York and every other state in America. There's like receipts, literal receipts, with the amount of enslaved persons it took to build each city or building. The White House. Yeah, the disrespect, I'm over it. I'm done with it. I love you, Black man. I love you, Black woman. Knowledge is power. Power to the people.
All right, New York, you did that big one. I'm really, really proud of you. But something is really bothering me. That acceptance speech, when he said that New York was built by immigrants, that it's a city of immigrants, and yada, yada, bing, bong. First of all, let's be very clear. And I know why he said it. It was in the context of bucking up against homie. Okay. So I don't need that pushback in the comments. I know why he said it, but it was still said, and it is incorrect that he said it. New York City was built by Black labor, full stop. Yes, the first influx of immigrants, Irish, Italian, was when Manhattan really only was the bottom part of Manhattan, and they started to build up, and they started to build the grid system. And the only reason why from Houston Street up is numbers, because they wanted to make it easy for the European outcast type immigrants, okay, Irish and Italian, whatever's, okay. It made it easy, non-English speaking, let me put it like that. You know what I'm saying? Even with the Irish, you know what I'm saying? It made it easy for them to build up. But still, New York was still here. Brooklyn was even still here. Black labor was here before the first waves of any immigrant population. We was here when they built the first Wall Street and tried to separate the Dutch and the English from the Native American population. We were the buffer population between the two. They used it as a buffer. We was here. Feel me? And we've been building New York politically, infrastructurally, economically from day one. Now, what exactly is an immigrant? Again, New York is a city of waves of immigrants. So the first wave of immigrant were Europeans. All right. Brown immigrants didn't come until the 20th century. Puerto Ricans don't count because they're Americans and their story is completely different. All right. Even though they were a wave of quote unquote immigration, but like immigration within the United States. You know what I mean? But to be clear, Muslims, Africans, you name it, brown and black immigrants are only here again because of Black Americans and the fight, the good fight that we fought in the 50s and 60s. I'm in changing America's immigration policy because trust me, they was not trying to let none of y'all in up in here. You know what I'm saying? So it feels a little bit like a slap in the face with that speech because you could have been more inclusive of who is New York. You know, who are the New Yorkians? You know what I'm saying? Especially because you yourself ain't even a native New Yorker. But we got you, but you're not a native New Yorker. You're going to have to fix that, homie. Because that rub people wrong. I'm starting to see videos. It's like, especially when we, again, 90% of us voted for you. Not even your own people voted more for you. 90% of Black Americans, once again, we came through. And you couldn't include us in this speech, even though the speech was to buck up against, homie. That was a bold statement you make, and you're gonna have to fix it. You're gonna have to fix it because it's one of those little things that kind of fester. You know what I'm saying? Like we took note, we heard that. So now we're gonna watch it with an even closer eye because we're very sensitive, all right, and how we are treated by immigrant populations who are ignorant of American history and our place in it. So fix your shit, nigga. Cause your fucking slip is showing. You know what I mean? Fix your shit.
The cat be real, boy. I swear.
New York will remain a city of immigrants, a city built by immigrants, held by immigrants. And as of tonight, led by an immigrant.
Like people be forgetting that the civil rights movement influenced this immigration. Yeah, immigration in the National Act of 1965, if it wasn't for the civil rights movement, even these people that's coming from these different places wouldn't even be able to come to America. And because of that, that law abolished racial discrimination in immigration. So people like to skip the fact that Black American people never done that. I mean, most of your people would have never been able to done nothing if it wasn't for my people being able to fight for those laws for your people could do something, right?
That when politics speaks to you without condescension, we can usher in a new era of leadership.
And because of that, that act opened the door for greater immigration all the way down from Asia, Africa, Southern Europe, to give you provision for refugees that's fleeing persecution. Shout out to my people for that, baby.
We will fight for you because we are you. Or as we say on Steinway, Anaminkum Waileikum.
So when you people get these political positions in power, please stop thinking it's because you actually work for something. Especially when you don't announce what Black American indigenous people done in this country for your people to benefit from.
I feel like everyone wants to take credit for what America has become or what it is today as it stands today. While simultaneously kind of discrediting and undermining the fact that there was hundreds of years of evils and atrocities that happened to even get America to the point where people would even want to be here at all, that people would want to migrate over here. Because the truth be told is nobody in their right mind would leave their homeland, their family, their friends to come to a place that didn't already have some level of opportunity, that wasn't already built up with some type of infrastructure. Like immigration didn't really start happening heavily until like the 20s and 30s. And I'm not saying that to undermine any person who was an immigrant came over here and made a great life for themselves. But what I am saying is that it seems like when it comes time to be proud of like who you've become as an immigrant and what you've built and what you've established here, it's like it's all good, like because your family's from somewhere else and you're proud of what you created over here. But at the same time, whenever a person who doesn't have an immigrant background, like the foundational Black Americans, the freedmen, or even the whites, the people who were descendants of the white slave owners, right? like basically if you don't have an immigrant story, you don't have an immigrant background, that's when it becomes a problem for you to show pride in being American or having foundational American roots. Um, that's when people start to bring up, oh, well, this is stolen land. You know, this country was built on stolen land. You're not truly American because you're not a Native American. You know, so I feel like if you don't have an immigrant background and you are part of the lineage of people who came from centuries of atrocities on this land, um, you're not really allowed to have pride in what you contribute or what your lineage contributed. You're not really allowed to like be proud to be American, right? You're only allowed to be proud to be American if you're not from America. Um, you're only allowed to say that you built something and built up something if you have an immigrant background. And that's just something that I noticed. Like, not really something I normally speak on, but I noticed it. You know, everybody wants to take credit for is built up into a great place, and a lot of people had contributed to this. But all I'm saying is, it just seems like you're only allowed to say that you built up America as long as you were not a part. Your lineage doesn't go back to the foundation of America as a nation.
This is an excellent point. I listened to part of Mamdani's victory speech. I didn't hear all of it, but I did hear the part where he stated that New York City was built by immigrants. I beg to differ. Immigrants helped, but New York City, as well as this country, was built by Black Americans, especially our enslaved ancestors. And specifically regarding New York City, again, you all need to look up Seneca Village, which was a vibrant, thriving Black community that the city destroyed in order to build what is now known as Central Park. Everyone tries to discredit and erase the contributions of Black Americans who are descended from enslaved Africans and how our ancestors built this nation. Bottom line, the White House, where the East Wing is being demolished so that the felon in chief can have his gilded ballroom that we all need, was built by enslaved people. And so here's this narrative about immigrants. Uh-uh. Again, you all, Black Americans, we must stand together collectively and use our voice. And by using our voice, I mean by speaking with our dollars and economic power to make sure that we get what we want and that our contributions in this country are not erased.
Oh, nothing. I'm just out reflecting on Mamdani's speech from last night. That's it. That's all I'm doing. He said, New York City will remain a city built by immigrants, powered by immigrants. And as of now, led by an immigrant. Ooh, come on, immigrants, let's go.
You know, the thing that get me is everybody always tried to exclude us from some of the most important things that were done in history, but yet as soon as they fall into an issue, all of a sudden, who are the ones they call for? Us. Isn't that what the Mexicans did when ICE started coming at their asses in the beginning of the year after Donald Trump was sworn in as president? And then we had all kinds of other groups. Oh, where are the black people? Where are the black people? But when it comes down to taking credit, y'all sure get a bout of amnesia real fast. You don't remember that our forefathers built the foundation of this country. and I agree when they said y'all did not immigrate over here and nothing was here. That would be stupid for you to come here. No, you immigrated here because back then, America was being pushed around the world as the promised land, the land of milk and honey. And coming over here, you would get opportunities that you could never get within your own country. So, how is it that you would have ran to that and nothing was here? Something had to be here. So, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, we just got one more immigrant that's trying to take credit for the things we did. And he sure didn't have nothing to say about any of our people up there in New York, just immigrants. Like I said, his whole speech was very heavily in favor of immigration and immigrants. That's it. He didn't really talk about anything else, as if nothing else exists in New York. So, y'all, thank you so much for being here. Let me see here who I got to thank. Hershey Kiss, thank you for becoming a new channel member. And thank you for your support from my channel. No. Yeah, well, the next time ICE is chasing them down, because ICE ain't gonna stay out of New York City. Let's just be real. ICE is gonna be right there in New York chasing all these immigrants around like they are today. They're out in the streets screaming and protesting because ICE is going to be there even when Mamdani is the mayor. They're still going to be all up in there grabbing the immigrants and getting you out of here. You know, Technically, it's not Mamdani. It is Donald Trump, your sitting president. And if you got a sitting president against immigration, no immigrant in this land is safe. Even if you're in a blue state, you're not safe. Not under a Donald Trump's presidency. None of you immigrants are safe. Now, under Biden, oh yes, sanctuary cities, sanctuary counties, sanctuary states. Yeah, you had it made under Joe Biden. He was all for y'all flooding in here. You could commit all the crimes you wanted. Y'all could do anything, scam, lie, cheat, steal, and you didn't have no jail time practically. But now we are in the day and time of Donald Trump, and Donald Trump hates immigrants, which is really weird. He married 2 immigrant wives, but this man still hates immigrants. Go figure. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. I got another premiere coming up about Donald Trump's email. That is about to get worse, y'all. Listen, I've been up looking at a lot of some of the emails that leaked. They said there are pictures of Donald Trump violating, and pictures of the violation was taken. Now, if those photos get revealed, Donald Trump is done as we know it. But according to what I'm reading, those pictures exist. Now, the reason why they had an emergency meeting up at the White House is because the emails were leaked. They were leaked, y'all. They don't know who leaked it, which tells you right there the White House is not the only ones that have the Epstein files. There's got to be other copies out here in order for those emails to be leaked, in order for people to claim these pictures are something that exists. Now, look, last year I heard Putin even got copies of the Epstein file. Putin got it. And I heard that back in 2024. Even he got copies of it. So that being said, if there's other copies out here, which I'm sure there probably are, all these rich people involved, and you think they don't have copies of this file, then there's no way for the DOJ to control it. You know, information is now immediate. It's instant. As long as you got access to the internet, you can get all kinds of information instantly. And that being said, how do you control it? You can't. That means the DOJ is not in control of this thing at all. And that's why it was Cash Patel, Pam Bondi, and a few other people. As soon as the emails hit, they had a quick emergency meeting up at the White House to discuss these emails because Donald Trump is all over these emails. And one thing I did learn towards the end, Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein fell out. They fell out. And some of these emails go back to the time when they first fell out, Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump. So this thing is getting deep. Now, the government is back open, y'all, but it can shut down in January 2026, on January 31st, 2026. If this stuff with Epstein gets too deep, do not be surprised if Donald Trump will sit back and let this government shut down again. Do I think he would do this over the Epstein file? If it gets really bad for him, hell yes. He will do anything to distract away from it, including closing this government down. But that's where I stand with it. So, y'all, I will see you later. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day. Shalom, family.